The crowd went completely silent. The lights were blinding, the cameras were rolling, and right there, in front of thousands of fans, Xiao Zhan's eyes filled with tears. Wang Yibo stood beside him, microphone in hand, his expression unreadable. No one expected it. No one understood what had just happened. But those few seconds on stage changed everything. Moments earlier, the atmosphere had been pure joy. It was an award night, the kind of grand stage where stars sparkle brightest. The duo everyone had been waiting for finally appeared together. Wang Yibo walked out first, dressed in black, calm and composed. Then came Xiao Zhan, smiling, waving to the fans who screamed his name. It was supposed to be a reunion moment, two legends standing side by side again after so long. But then, something shifted. When the host handed the microphone to Wang Yibo, his words carried a strange tone. "We've come a long way," he said quietly, looking straight at Xiao Zhan. "But sometimes, not every road brings us back to where we started." The audience laughed nervously, unsure if it was a joke. But Xiao Zhan didn't laugh. His smile faded, and he turned slightly away. You could almost feel the tension from their silence. The cameras zoomed in, catching Xiao Zhan's eyes, and that's when people saw it. A tear, small but visible, sliding down his cheek. Fans began to whisper online almost immediately, did Wang Yibo make Xiao Zhan cry? What happened between them? But behind that one shocking moment on stage was a story far deeper than anyone realized. Months before that night, both actors had been working separately. The fame they shared after the Untamed had taken them to unimaginable heights, but it also built invisible walls between them. Rumors, pressure, and endless comparisons turned their friendship into something fragile. Wang Yibo had always been the quiet one, he bottled things up. Xiao Zhan, on the other hand, wore his heart on his sleeve. Their communication had slowly faded. There were times they saw each other at events but barely spoke. Each headline that mentioned their names together reminded them of what once was, and what had been lost. But when they were invited to present an award together again, Xiao Zhan was genuinely happy. He wanted to make peace, to show fans that the bond was still there. He even rehearsed how he'd greet Wang Yibo on stage, how he'd smile, maybe crack a small joke, and bring back those memories that fans cherished. Yet, Wang Yibo had heard something days before that changed everything. A leaked article had twisted his words from a past interview, making it seem like he'd said he wanted nothing to do with Xiao Zhan again. He knew it wasn't true, but he also knew Xiao Zhan must have read it. When they met backstage before the event, there was an awkward silence. Xiao Zhan greeted him warmly, but Yibo just nodded, unsure how to explain himself in that crowded room. So when they finally stood under those bright lights together, all those emotions collided. Wang Yibo's words weren't meant to hurt. They were his way of saying that not every friendship survives the storm of fame, but some memories still stay precious. He thought Xiao Zhan would understand the hidden message behind them. But instead, it hit harder than he expected. After that brief moment of silence, Xiao Zhan took the microphone. His voice was soft but steady. "Even if the road changes," he said, looking at Yibo, "some people never stop walking beside you, even from afar." The hall erupted in applause, but you could tell, that wasn't just a speech. It was something real, something raw. Wang Yibo turned to him, eyes slightly glassy, and for a second his composure broke. He placed a hand on Xiao Zhan's shoulder, gave a small nod, and smiled, that rare, genuine Yibo smile that fans hadn't seen in a while. The two of them finished the event like professionals. They smiled for the cameras, handed out the award, and walked off stage together. But what happened behind the curtains stayed between them. Later that night, fans noticed something. On Wang Yibo's social media, a single post appeared, no caption, just a black and white photo of a stage light and a quote, "Some things can't be explained, only felt." Minutes later, Xiao Zhan posted too, a picture of two microphones crossed together, with the words, "Always side by side, no matter what they say." The internet went wild. Millions of fans shared theories, screenshots, and emotional edits. Some said it was a misunderstanding, others believed it was a hidden message of reconciliation. But those who had followed them since the beginning knew that was their way of speaking to each other without words. In the following weeks, the tension between them seemed to fade. Reporters caught glimpses of them smiling together at rehearsals, even sharing small conversations backstage. When a journalist later asked Wang Yibo about that night, he simply said, "Sometimes silence says more than 1,000 words." And Xiao Zhan, in another interview, said something that melted everyone's hearts. "If you've ever had someone who understood you without needing to explain, then you'll know what that moment meant." That's when fans finally understood. It was never about conflict or anger. It was about two people who had walked through fame, pressure, and misunderstanding, and somehow still managed to respect each other in the end. So yes, Wang Yibo made Xiao Zhan cry that night, but not out of pain. Those tears were a release. A mix of gratitude, exhaustion, and all the words left unsaid. Sometimes, emotions can't be hidden under spotlights. And that's what made that moment so unforgettable. It reminded everyone watching that even the brightest stars are still human, fragile, real, and capable of feeling just like the rest of us. Days after the award night, the internet was still burning with discussion. Fans replayed the moment frame by frame, analyzing every expression, every glance, every second of silence between them. Some people said Wang Yibo had been cold, others said Xiao Zhan was too sensitive. But what no one knew was that the real story wasn't about conflict, it was about something both of them had silently carried for years. Before fame wrapped around them like a storm, they were just two young men chasing the same dream. During the Untamed, they spent months together on set, laughing between takes, supporting each other when scenes got tough, sharing late-night meals when exhaustion hit. Their friendship had been real. But when the show exploded and they became global icons, that friendship started to drown under the noise of fame. They were suddenly surrounded by endless expectations, fan wars, and online drama. Every word they said was twisted, every small interaction overanalyzed. Messages they once sent freely became drafts that were never posted. The bond that had felt simple and easy began to feel dangerous, too exposed, too misinterpreted. Wang Yibo often stayed quiet to avoid fueling rumors, but his silence made people think he didn't care. Xiao Zhan tried to keep things normal, but he carried the pain of misunderstanding in silence too. That's why the moment on stage hit both of them so deeply. It wasn't about the words spoken that night. It was about everything they hadn't said for years. A week later, insiders said they saw Wang Yibo visiting Xiao Zhan's rehearsal for an upcoming concert. He arrived quietly, no cameras, no entourage, just him in a cap and mask. People said he stood at the back of the hall, watching as Xiao Zhan practiced one of his emotional songs, a song about forgiveness and letting go. When the rehearsal ended, Wang Yibo waited until the crowd left, then approached him.